10, 12 years, it has to turn a little bit. You know what I mean? It can't last. And the trouble is, it would be Phil, too. If it was him, he wouldn't give a damn. He doesn't read the papers, doesn't read bad reviews. But Phil reads the papers, he reads reviews, he worries about things. It hurts him here, sort of thing.
He can get 1,000 great reviews and he can get one bad review, and it really, really affects him. I think it's because he really wears his heart on his sleeve.
Me too. Dreams come true. I can grow without. He started off a child actor, not a musician. He wasn't supposed to be Genesis' lead singer. Phil was the drummer first. That iconic drum sound and the song In the Air Tonight was an accident. I never would have guessed that. I just got done doing a reaction to Phil Collins' In the Air Tonight, and I have to admit that was one beautiful song. So I wanted to learn more about Phil Collins, and I just read off 3 fun facts about him. Now we just learned some more together. But if you do want to continue learning more about Phil Collins, I have a documentary here that I haven't watched yet that you can join in right now, and we can watch it together. I'm DtaeNoDinero. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and notification bell on. But let's get into this video because I don't like long intros, and I'm kind of anxious to see what other songs did he make, and have I ever heard them before. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and notification bell on too, silly butts. Let's get it.
He's an extraordinary combination of being sort of an ordinary guy, but having a big talent.
Every, like, 6 weeks there'd be another #1 Phil Collins, and it's like, and it comes to a point when you go, all right, Phil, just take a 2-month break so they give the rest of us a chance.
Take a look at me now. Well, there's just an empty space.
I literally didn't know when he slept because he just kept going because he loved it.
I can't dance, I can't sing. I'm just standing here selling everything.
Every time you go up in a lift, I can feel it come shut up. You know, the success of the music made it ubiquitous.
Think twice, 'cause it's another day for you. You in paradise.
Every record he released virtually went to #1 all around the world. All the fans lapped it up. And then the facts made a lot of people wonder if Phil Collins was such a nice guy after all.
That affected my life, you know, and it still is affecting my life, really, because everybody always writes, Phil Collins, new record, Testify. Phil, who dumped his wife, by fact. You know, all this stuff. And it's just become part of
Confidence about what they do.
In 1970, the 19-year-old Phil Collins joined Genesis. Formed in the mid-60s, these former Charterhouse public schoolboys had already released 2 albums. Now, with their new drummer in place, they set
track.
One of the best pop songs, I think, ever written.
Cut down, spare, minimal. It sounded utterly new.
I remember DJs on the radio, on Radio 1, it was the stalwart of Radio 1 at the time, playing it all the time.
He was on in every jukebox in every pub. I can hear it sounding in the air tonight, hold on. And, you know, boom, 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 boom. We all go, yeah, you know. Fucking magic, man.
He performed on Top of the Pops with a paint pot as a veil to the fact that his wife had gone off with a painter and decorator. We've always, the joke at the end of me at the time was, thank God she didn't run off with a fishmonger.
I hadn't thought about that at all. This was just a purely practical thing. Workmate is the right height. T-chest is, you know, kind of workmate T-chest, that works. And I found a pot of paint with it, you know, I put it on top of the drum machine. It just, the picture was complete. And I really did not get any link between the fact that Andy had gone off with a decorator.
Face Value was #1 in the album charts, but In the Air Tonight was kept off the top of the singles chart by John Lennon's Woman. A year later, Phil had his first #1 when he released a cover of the Supremes' hit, You Can't Hurry Love.
My mama said you can't hurry love. No, you just have to wait. She said love don't come easy, but it's a game of give and take.
Whilst on a solo tour of the US, Phil met and fell in love with American Jill Tavelman. The touring didn't stop, so Jill had to go on the road. They married in 1984, the same year that Phil had his first US #1, with a track written for the Taylor Hackford film, Against All Odds.
So take a look at me now. Well, there's just an empty space. There's nothing left here to remind me. Just a memory of
It all just started to sort of get bigger, like, you know, the kind of the soap suds, you know, and just sort of more and more and more and more.
There's a girl that's been on my mind all the time. So dear.
It was a right time, right place sort of record that just connected with everyone, you know, and it was at that point that it really felt that Phil could do no wrong.
No Jacket Required made Phil Collins an international superstar. He entertained millions of people in stadiums all over the world, became a fixture on TV chat shows everywhere, and was even the darling of the British tabloids.
For the next 5, 6 years, Phil Collins was in clover, really. I don't think he could do anything wrong. But I don't think anybody expected this sort of balding short man to be such a star, really.
This was the 80s, when glamour was supposed to be everything.
Duran Duran and Spandau Ballet and Adamant brought with them this glamour, this makeup, this radical, sexy look. And they were all really good-looking guys. And in the midst of it all, you had this balding little man wearing dungarees.
I've got an image, but it's the image is of that of a non-image, you know what I mean? It's not a Simon Le Bon, David Bowie, Sting image.
Phil's a totally unlikely ladies' man. I mean, he doesn't have matinee idol looks. But the thing was that he was always such an attractive personality.
I am a romantic, and I think that comes through in the music. I would imagine that women like to think that a guy is more sensitive than some other guys. You know, they write music that's kind of seen from, oh, I wish my husband was like that, wrote something like that about me, or, you know, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Not only did the ladies love him, Phil also remained a regular geezer.
He never tries to be anything else than what he is. And what he is a nice bloke. I'll never forget, I went to a concert and they had all this amazing food laid out. Yeah. And everybody's sort of, you know, drinking champagne and eating this food. And he's over in the corner with a light owl and a bag of fish and chips. So what did he say? I can't stand that stuff.
By the mid-1980s, Phil Collins was working with everybody. He produced albums for the likes of Eric Clapton, Adam Ant, ABBA's Frida, and Earth, Wind and Fire's Philip Bailey, whose duet with Phil was a huge hit on both sides of the Atlantic.
She'll get a hold on you, believe it. Like no other. Before you know it, you'll be on your knees.
He was a workaholic. He wasn't going to go and take a year off and sit in his ass doing nothing, you know. I remember seeing him a couple of times, and I said, "You look knackered, Phil." And he says, "I'm absolutely fucked, you know. I just need a rest." And he didn't seem to want to give it to himself. He just kept going, work, work, work.
He had so many hits that people were saying, "Oh, for Christ's sake, Phil Collins," you know. And the non-stop work ethic, you know. He seemed to be everywhere all the time.
In a very short time, my duty is to take one of the finest ambassadors of the British music industry from Wembley to Philadelphia. He's gonna get himself into the record books by choppering out of here, going to Wembley, getting on Concorde, and you will see him again later in this incredible concert from Philadelphia. Ladies and gentlemen, Phil Collins!
Good afternoon, Wembley. Good afternoon, Philadelphia, and the world. How can I just let you walk away? Just let you leave without a trace?
And it was blisteringly hot. The white stage, it was so hot.
You're the only one who really knew.
And I made a terrible mistake on Against All Odds on the piano. And I thought, oh, God, what a good start to the day this is.
When all I can do is watch you leave.
I mean, people remember a lot of things about that day, but a lot of them remember, like, Phil playing both places and being on Concord.
Listen, whose idea was this whole trip, this Philadelphia idea? No idea. No, it was, we thought if it could be done, wouldn't it be good to do it? And then we went into the logistics, and we found out that it was possible. And then we had to, I mean, I didn't want to go just to America to play my own song, so I arranged Eric Clapton's on tour out there, and so is Robert Plant, so I rang them up and see if I could play with them, so give me something to go for. And it's just nice to be involved in as much as possible, really. You know, I'm a lunatic.
Not only did Phil perform solo in London and Philadelphia, he performed in the UK with Sting and in the US with Eric Clapton and Led Zeppelin.
By Phil saying he'd play with these bands, it gave an immense credibility to the entire project, because a lot of these bands reformed, and they were very nervous. And when you said Phil's going to drum with so-and-so, so-and-so, they were, well, that's cool. That just makes it easier, you know, and it gives, again, the tick of approval, say, OK, this is serious.
Turn around and see me cry. There's so much I need to say to you. So many reasons why. You're the only one who really knew me.
It was an inhuman act of endurance, but it was kind of great. I can play with him, and I can do this and I can do that. I'm happy.
1 year after Live Aid, Phil was back wowing stadiums with Genesis.
Wow.
Despite his hectic solo career,
Stadiums
Phil wasn't
packed.
about to give up his day job.
Wow.
Genesis may have formed back in the 60s, but their video for Land of Confusion showed they knew all about the 80s. Meanwhile, Phil's solo success made him a natural for that ultimate 80s TV series, Miami Vice.
Miami Vice rang up and said, we use your music a lot, how about acting in one of the episodes? And I said, I don't do that anymore. So they said, oh, come on, it'd be fun, it'd be fun. I said, all right, well, send me a script, you know, I'll see it, and if it's fun, I'll do it. You know, I got this script, and I was in every page. It was a story based around me. And I called them and said, I don't know if I can do this, you know, I'm not very good at this anymore, and I didn't like it when I did it. So they said, oh, come over to Florida, we'll have a great time. It's only a week of your life, you know. And I went over there, and I had a fantastic time. I really enjoyed it. And at the end of it, people say, you know, you should do more of this. And that led to Buster.
Julie Waters was the first one cast, and she said yes, subject to who was going to be playing her co-lead. And the obvious choice was Bob Hoskins, but he wasn't available. So we started looking elsewhere, and my wife, Jane, was watching television one day, and she called me and she said, look, come here, there's Buster Edwards, he's on television.
Well, what were you going to do with the money when you got it?
Hey, dealing with money's never been one of my problems.
I thought it was a great idea, partly because I was a fan, and I knew that he'd been an actor. So it wasn't just like casting someone who was a rock star and who'd never done anything before. And he just, there's something about the way he looks and things that just felt right for that character.
Listen to me, you old bag. I've been shut up with you for 24 hours a day, 7 days a bleeding week near enough. God, most men would have throttled their old ladies by now. You want to know why I haven't? Because you are the best bloody thing that's ever happened to me.
I thought Phil was really good, because one or two other people in the rock business had done films around that time. Not very good. And he was fantastic. I thought this is a proper, it was like working with a proper actor.
Just goes to show you get what you pay for, in the end.
You all right for money?
That's her.
Yeah, that's what came over here, wasn't it? The Swiss account is now operating properly.
One of the biggest problems for an actor is vanity. And if you're aware of people looking at you, then you take away the peeping Tom aspect of the audience. And Phil always comes on as himself, which is the best start you can have. You know, if you can actually be, you know, in front of a camera, forget the camera and just be yourself and just do the job, then, you know, people actually feel that they're watching something that they shouldn't be watching.
I think the only time I was kind of slightly disappointed with what he wouldn't deliver was when he refused to take any of his clothes off.
I said from the beginning, because I remember reading the script, it says, Buster gets out of bed, obviously naked. I said, what does that mean? Obviously naked. And David said, well, you know, we're going to see your bum. I said, yeah, well, I don't know about that. Because if you see my bum, you know. I said, I'd rather really wear something. So I don't matter how brief it is, but I really would rather wear something. He said, OK, well, don't worry about it. So I said, you're sure now? So we went through the whole film, you know, till we did the scene where, you know, the police lights come through the curtain and I get out of bed. And Julie looks at me and laughs. And I said, at the beginning of that day, I said, we got what I'm going to wear? They said, we thought we'd just do it. I said, no. I said, I bought actually a couple of pairs of swimming trunks, you know, and one of them was blue. And they said, we can't possibly use blue, it flares, darling. So I said, well, you've got to think of something, OK? So anyway, they eventually came up with some tea-stained tights, which were cut off, you know, which were very comical to look at, you know, if you're trying to sort of, you know, have a romantic moment. So when I say, I didn't think they recognised me like this, I'm looking down at my tea-stained tights, and she's looking at them too, you know, and we both laugh, but obviously they think for the wrong reason, you know. But we know that it's because I have these little lines going all the way up my crutch.
You're going to put your trousers on.
Well, I thought they might not recognise me like this.
As well as starring in the film, Phil performed most of the soundtrack. Buster's theme tune won a string of awards and gave him his 8th top 10 hit.
When you're close to me, I can feel your heartbeat. I can hear you breathing in my ear. Wouldn't you agree, baby? You and me got a groovy kind of love.
By the late 80s, Phil Collins was an established superstar. Among his most famous fans were the Prince and Princess of Wales. Phil even became a trustee of Charles's Prince's Trust.
It's the 5th year Phil Collins has taken part in the Trust Music Workshop. It aims to transport young people away from the miseries of unemployment and encourage them to try out new skills, like preparing to give their own concert.
Phil worked very hard for the Trust, and he always made himself available, and he was interested, too, in what the Trust was doing. And whenever a new opportunity arose, he would be there.
Phil's well-publicised charitable acts and his fame as a multi-millionaire pop star came to the attention of the neighbours.
There was a guy who came to my door once and said, Phil, you don't know me. I live in the village. They're going to turn me out of my house. I've got 3 kids, and I don't know what to do. I need some money, and I don't know what to do other than ask you. And I said, how much do you need? You know, he said, well, I need, you know, I guess £8,000 would do it. And I didn't really know how to say no to him, so I gave him a cheque. He said, I'll pay you back. I said, listen, if you find yourself in a position where you can pay me back, then pay me back, but I'm not going to expect it. He said, I will pay you back. I said, I don't want any interest. So 2 years later, I get a knock on the door. There's your money back. And I thought, you know, thank you. This is nice. This is the way it's supposed to be, you know?
Right.
So, you know, I've also had some friends that have done it and not paid me back and actually said, well, what does he need it for? He's got loads of money, you know, which is not the point. It's not the point.
In 1989, Phil and Jill had a baby daughter, Lily. That same year, he released But Seriously, one of the fastest-selling albums in UK chart history. As the title suggests, he was now ready to take on the world.
Paradise. Oh, think twice, 'cause it's another day for you. You and me in paradise.
Another Day in Paradise, I think, didn't win him any new fans. He was a multi-millionaire saying, hey, you people, why don't you do something about these poor people? And, of course, the correct response was, will you start, Phil?
I did have that criticism levelled against me. But there are people that really live a cosseted life and don't live in the real world, necessarily. I just don't think I'm like that, is all I can say.
The video for Another Day in Paradise was adopted by many homeless charities around the world as a promotional tool. This relationship spilled over into Phil's live gigs, at which he would collect money.
Phil normally says, well, you know, you see the people with the buckets, whatever you put in tonight, I'll double it. He wasn't too popular with the merchandising company that paid a lot of money up front to, you know, sponsor his tour. When he says, look, you know, I've got enough fucking money. Don't buy my T-shirts. Put the money in the bucket.
Phil entered the 90s as a megastar, still fronting Genesis as they toured the globe and scored hit after hit. His next solo album marked another change in musical style. At home, Phil recorded every instrument and all the vocals himself.
There's a lot more to making music than you think. Finding the words, writing the songs, making it sound good. Thought I'd do the whole thing myself on this album. The writing, the playing, the singing, the producing, you name it, it's down to me. In fact, it's the first time I've done everything myself, and I'm well pleased with the result. Being a reasonable bloke, I've called it Both Sides.
When I did Both Sides, I naively thought, I suppose, but seriously, it was a huge album, and now I've done this album, which is really, I think, beautiful songs. And people are going to see this. They're going to see that there's a lot of soul in this record. I could have done another album like that and mopped up. It could have had loads of much better players playing on it, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make an album of beautiful songs, just by me.
I actually found them less than compelling records, you know. It's sort of like, well, heard you do that before, Phil, you know. Got that song on another record, got that one on, you know. I didn't feel that he was breaking any new ground.
It was viewed as a disappointment. And I thought, well, that's a shame. I started to sense that I might not fit in anymore at that point.
You got a hammering because, like, everyone's going, oh, Christ, not... You know, every time you went to buy a pork chop, there was Phil Collins on the, you know, on the PA. Every time you go up in the lift, I can feel it, come shut up.
When you've been that popular and the man of the moment, as some artists are for an album or a year, and he was for 10, 12 years, it has to turn a little bit. You know what I mean? It can't last. And the trouble is, it would be Phil, too. If it was him, he wouldn't give a damn. He doesn't read the papers, doesn't read bad reviews. But Phil reads the papers, he reads reviews, he worries about things. It hurts him here, sort of thing.
He can get 1,000 great reviews and he can get one bad review, and it really, really affects him. I think it's because he really wears his heart on his sleeve.
Me too.
And when that gets shunned, it really takes it hard and personally.
I wrote to one journalist in San Francisco who referred to me as the McDonald's of pop music, and he kind of, it was a very bitchy review, and I actually wrote a very nasty thing to him the next day. A nasty letter. I shouldn't have written it. But, you know, I tended to do that. I don't do it anymore now. It's pathetic, isn't it?
In 1994, whilst touring the Both Sides, Dance Into the Light celebrated his new love and meditated upon the price of fame.
Well, that day this guy came to me with a scrap of paper in his hand. He said, hey, buddy, can you sign your name for me? I said, why, do I owe you money? He said, no. I said, listen, pal, do I know you? Have we ever met? Why do you want my name on this little piece of paper? He said, I love you.
There was another level of what the song was about, which was, if you think this is so easy, you do it, you know? Which is, again, around the time of the tabloid thing. You know, I don't want to be me. Actually, I don't really want to be me. You do this. You wear my... Yeah, you had me fucking shoes. I don't care. I don't want this anymore.
You can wear my shoes, you can take my socks. Come on, take my bag, it's yours.
I hated the situation I'd got myself into and was being put into constantly by the press. So I kind of... I just wanted to be somebody else, you know. What I was not worth all that.
In 1996, Phil Collins left the UK and his band Genesis to set up home in Switzerland with Oriane. Even his solo career went on hold. When he eventually got behind the drums again, it was to fulfill his childhood dream of playing in a big band.
The idea was to do something that nobody else could do, you know, or had done, which was my songs, my stuff, but choose some songs which actually would be good for rearrangement by a big band.
He asked me to conduct his band that year, and with Tony Bennett, too. And it was fun, because we played not only Montreux, we played down the south of France, and we played Albert's Hall for Mandela and the royal family.
I saw suddenly not the Phil Collins we all knew, not the sound we all knew, but here's an American big band type sound. And I think maybe some people would even have been disappointed because they were thinking, OK, so it's Phil Collins, the big band, but it just means there's more musicians doing the same music. It wasn't.
My idea of doing this was not to sing. And I used to go on stage at the beginning of the show and say, thank you for coming. I just want to make it clear that I'm not going to be singing on this show.
And they thought he was kidding. They didn't think he was going to sit there with a big jazz band and play jazz songs all night long. But that's what he did.
Staying behind the drum kit and shunning the spotlight, Phil Collins toured Europe and America with his big band. Both territories remained oblivious to the no more Mr. Nice Guy stories back in Britain. Phil's music remains broadly admired in America, where the hottest urban artists collaborated on an album of Collins covers.
People back at home should know that, you know, he's respected here in a big way because he's truly a soul artist.
She calls out to the man on the street. Sir, can you help me?
From Little Kim to P. Diddy to any black artist, they always give big kudos to those that can really deliver. And there's no question that Phil Collins is one of those people. And look, when you can sing, you can sing.
Doesn't look back. He pretends he can't hear her.
In 2000, Phil won an Oscar for his soundtrack for Disney's Tarzan.
And the Oscar goes to...
There's that moment when she opened the envelope and said, and the Oscar goes to...
Phil Collins for You'll Be in My Heart.
I thought, my God, I can't believe this is happening.
The British film industry is celebrating after a night of success at this year's Oscars. Sam Mendes was named Best Director for his debut movie, American Beauty, which also won the award for Best Film. Michael Caine won Best Supporting Actor for his role in Cider House Rules, and the Mike Leigh film Topsy Turvy was also honoured.
I was actually surprised because in England it was kind of overlooked. You know, I mean, Michael Caine I think he got quite a lot of press, but, you know, we English people don't normally get, you know, it's a big deal for an English person to get an Oscar.
He was a man who was a major star, an icon in the 80s, you know, neck and neck with the Elton Johns and the Paul McCartneys, and they are now megastars and much loved by the British public. He's criticised by the press here, he's constantly bished about on the radio, the young DJs that really don't like him.
I'm philosophically kind of adjusted to the fact that, you know, my big moment, it was fantastic, you know, but it's gone, you know, it's past. You know, we've moved on to sort of a plateau now.
This month, Phil Collins releases a cover of Leo Sayers' 1978 hit, Can't Stop Loving You, taken from Testify, his first solo album in 6 years.
Stop loving you, can't stop loving no, I can't stop loving.
Well, everybody, I have to admit that I was not expecting for Phil Collins to be as big as he turned out to be. I don't know who's bigger, him, Karen Carpenter, Michael Jackson, or Bobby Hatfield and the Righteous Brothers. Did y'all see that stadium? That stadium was jammed packed. I'm thinking it looked like there wasn't even a seat for people to even sit down. Like it was in there like this, like sardines on next to each other, like this, they're stuffed in there. His impact on the music industry was huge. I didn't know that. I didn't even know that Phil Collins had made the song that actually right now. I didn't know he made that song, but I've heard that song all the time, and I love all genres of music. So if I hear one that's catchy to me, I'm gonna always remember it. And I listen. I've heard that song a bunch of times. Please let me know in the comments what y'all thought about the video. Was there anything that you didn't know about Phil Collins that you found out today? Some of the fun facts that I talked about at the beginning of the video were talked about in the documentary about how he started off as an actor. He did some acting, which I couldn't believe that, you know, after being such a huge superstar, he even ventured off to become an actor, played in a whole series. His resume is huge. The Oscar that he got for being the person that sung the theme song for Tarzan. Not only just that, he also sung all the songs for the whole TV series that he was a part of. This guy's resume and journey and adventure in life was huge. The music that we hear nowadays in today's time doesn't even always be inspirational. Majority of the music is straight demoralizing our society that we live in. This music that he made, it pushed positivity and peace and prosperity. It pushed peace to the world. And I just got to acknowledge that people like him who are rich deserve to be rich because they are loved by everybody. And it makes complete sense to me. And look, it even gets better. It gets better, y'all. He even was giving back to people. So not only was he the type of person to get wealthy and get rich off the backs of everybody else, he also gave back to people. That is inspirational and motivational with the music that he made, his life, his journey, and everything that he did. Considering the fact that he wasn't the most handsomest man in the group. He wasn't the tallest. He wasn't the strongest. This guy wore his heart on his sleeve. And everybody acknowledged him for that. And everybody loves him for that. And those are things that I feel like people should really value in today's time. Like today's time right now, we need a Phil Collins in today's time making music to teach people about shame and having some morals and X, Y, and Z. But let me know what y'all think about the video and the documentary. Let me know if y'all enjoyed it or not. What do y'all think about some of the things that I said? Also, don't forget, is there anything new about Phil Collins that you learned today? If so, please drop that in the comments. Also, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the notification bell on y'all because y'all not going to want to miss out on the next video. I'm pretty sure it's going to be some more Phil Collins, so make sure you stay tuned. But other than that, peace out. Let's get silly butts. And shout out to Phil Collins. And make sure I hit that like button for Phil Collins, for real. Hit the like button for Phil Collins. Let's get it. Silly.
I should love you. You complete me, but I might be fooled. In my world, dreams come true. I can't grow without you.